What happened where you had your wake up call, your moment where you felt like things needed to change?
I think for a lot of us, that time is when you kind of give your credit card to the cashier, and it kind of bounces back at you, and you do that look at you look at them, you kind of squint, and you say run it again, and they turn it back to you, and you say run it one more time, and then you realize there's something wrong. So I went back home and I thought, okay, I'm gonna call my credit card. I'm gonna let them, give them a piece of my mind that it didn't work. But turns out I was actually over on my credit cards. So it bounced for exactly the right reason. And at that point, I decided to start looking and focusing on what I was spending my money on. And one of those things was food. I was spending over $375 a month on food, and I couldn't tell you what I was eating. Besides kind of like going through the college motion of it all, like you go to Publix, you get a couple of snacks here and there. Maybe you hit up a Waffle House. At the end of the day, I'm spending $375 a month on food that I probably wasn't cooking enough. I was throwing away, and I was just eating pretty much junk food. And at the time, I was in a quad with three other guys, three of my friends, and each of them were considering me the cheap one. So I did the totality of the household. One of the guys was spending $400 at least on food. The other guy was spending $600. One of the guys was spending $700 because he was eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner just outside the house. So as an entire household, we're spending about $2,400 a month on just food that we couldn't even remember what we were eating.
Wow.
It taught me a lot.
Yeah, right. Talk about an aha moment, and you kind of wake up. So once you realized how much money you were spending, and you're like, man, I need to get a hold of myself. What were the steps that you started to, step out or pace out yourself? Like, did you create a budget? Like, walk us through your process in that area.
The first thing I did was actually sign up for Mint.com. I think, a lot of people know about it in the financial literacy world. It's just a great tool where you can see your budget and what you're spending on, and you can see where your problem areas are. So in that sense, I was able to understand, one, I was overeating or overspending on that. I was overspending on gas. I was also spending on rent. So I was able to formulate a budget for myself. At the time, too, I got out of school, but I didn't have a job. So that was extremely difficult, especially post-recession. Trying to pick up a job. In my first job out of college, I was making $23,000 before tax. What do you mean that when Uncle Cam comes in, he just takes the rest of the money? He just really takes majority of that money. So I went in that first day with a bit of what I call gratitude, not because I'm just happy that I had a job to begin with. So I was able to start off with just a good positive frame of mind and a focus on just producing my positive future per se. So I dressed the part. I woke up every morning. Even the first day, one of the guys says, he looked at me in the eye and said, everybody else that got that job actually quit. And he laughed at me. I'm like, this is the first day I showed up. I was free, fresh cut. Everything was going well. And it just seems like the first thing he says is like, you're not going to make it. Suffice to say, about 6 months later, I was able to turn that job into the next job I had for $32,000 before tax. And 6 months after that, I was able to turn that into $64,000. Basically, in a year, I went from $21,000 to $64,000. And about 2 years after that, I was at $100,000 a year.
Wow.
Talk about this, because that could have worked against you had you not began the work of changing your mindset, because you just said you tripled your salary within the first 12 months of getting that job. And if you had not had that moment where the credit card got rejected and you started down the path that you went on, that new money could have took you down the consumer rabbit hole and had you really, really bogged down, even more so than you were. How important is it to address mindsets when you are trying to turn your financial situation around?
It's 100% essential, because when I got to DC, especially the brunch capital of the world per se, I went to one brunch with a couple guys, and they say, hey, you came to DC, we're going to treat you, which was a lie, because they just wanted me to just show up there, and they were eating up. We were getting some tapas. If everybody ever seen tapas, they're just small little meals that don't really quite fill you up. So I was there, I bought one tapa and one drink, and that was my limit, because I didn't have any more room on the credit card. So at that time, those guys kept on buying more and more. One of the ladies like, oh, we're going to get dessert, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. At the end of the night, when I was still starving, And the cashier came by. She said, "Hey, do you guys want to split the check?" And they're like, "Yeah, split the check." I ended up spending $75 for just one taco and one drink.
Oh my gosh.
At that point, it just really solidifies something that's been going on, especially in the community in DC, is that everybody's eating out, having this time that when you walk away from it, you're just not that happy. So instead of just wasting my time at happy hours, wasting my time at like meetups with different people I didn't care for, I started focusing on myself and actually trying to build myself up. So I did things like join Toastmasters, which actually helped. I also helped a lot of different people with their resumes, so in order to get them a job as well. So it's just entirely crucial and critical that you have to do that, change your mindset.